Malami breaks silence, says federal government is right to detain Sowore despite court orders. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, has on Thursday backed the federal government for detaining the convener of #Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore, and the former National Security Advisor to the former President, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, Sambo Dasuki, despite various court orders to release them. Malami made this known at a program titled Good Morning Nigeria, aired by a national television NTA, which Vanguard monitored. Speaking at the program, Malami said that the federal government did not default, noting that government still has the right to detain Sowore and Dasuki until an appeal against the orders is determined by the Supreme Court. His words, he said, "Perhaps I need to clear the air on how the rule of law operates within the context of the Nigerian Constitution. We have multiple and a plethora of judicial decisions that establishes a fact that when you are challenging a court order through a judicial process, the idea of disobedience to that court order does not arise. The misapprehension that set into the system and deliberately put in the public space is the fact that once there is a court order, you must unconditionally comply. You can only be adjured being in disobedience of court order when you don't take advantage of the constitutional powers rights according to you by appealing against the order and perhaps seeking for stay of execution of the order, or perhaps you don't take any steps seeking variation of the court order. So in respect of those orders we are not comfortable with as a government, we go back to the court and have them challenged until that matter that your right of challenge is determined up to the Supreme Court level. The idea of you being charged with disobedience of court order does not arise. Recall that a Federal High Court in Abuja has severally asked the Department of the State Service, DSS, to release the publisher of Sahara Reporters, but the service refused. The service noted the following as its reasons, saying it has therefore become unarguable and raises a moral question as to who between Sowore and the service dislikes or disobeys the court order. In this regard, public attention may be drawn to the 25th July 2019 statement of Sowore that "I'm not talking of protest, I'm embarking on revolution. Don't tell me about legal implications or what a judge will say. I don't care." They are trying to go back to what Sowore said before, according to what DSS quoted, saying Sowore said. On December 5th, when Sowore was released, he had at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja, addressed a group of persons who he reassured of his cause to create anarchy in the country. This is really laughable, honestly. Going further, it says, it may be recalled that the service had on 3rd December 2019 raised an alarm about a plot to destabilize the country. It is quite remarkable that the plot has already started playing out. To ensure this objective is further achieved, some persons and groups are scoring to seize the opportunity of the misleading court incidents and the wrong narrative against the DSS to organize an insurrection in the country. They have continued to falsely curry and mobilize international sentiment and attention through clear misrepresentation of the fact for their selfish ends. For emphasis, it should be noted that Sowore is facing trial not as an activist, journalist or a politician, but for his resort to call for violence, forceful to take over of government and suspected transnational illegal activities. It is most unfortunate that Sowore, shortly after being released from custody based on court order, resorted to act inimical to security. To this effect, only Sowore has been rearrested, as his co-defendant Olawale Bakare was not picked up even when Falana had promised to deliver him to the service that is not presently interested in him. Though sections of the populace have been fed with spurious narratives about these developments, Nigerians and the international community should not be gullible or even vulnerable to the machinations of groups desirous of misleading them. The service is committed to the discharge of its mandates of detecting and preventing threats against the internal security of Nigeria. It supports democracy in the country and will do all that is legal to protect it. It will also ensure that efforts of anti-democratic forces are frustrated. So guys, I honestly, this shows that the government is not see happy how Sowore and Dasuki was released. They are pained, and that's just the way, and that's why they are just, going back and forth, and all of that. Now they told us that the government or the federal government doesn't know anything about the whole thing, that everything you know was based on what the DSS was doing, that they don't usually give a order or tell them what to do, but they say they don't usually, but in most cases they still do tell them what to do. We know how all of these things play out. Now they are trying to tell us what the whole masses can see, the whole country, the whole masses, and the public can really see the way and manner at which they were going about everything. Now they are telling us as if the masses are just somewhere and people are just coming to tell them or feed them with what is not what the masses were seeing all the time, day in day out, when this whole thing was going on. And they are telling us that they are being fed. Who is feeding and who is not feeding? The case is between the lawyers and the Showore's lawyer and the government and the court. So what are they talking about? And everybody was seeing what was going on. And again, they've forgotten that the same DSS was saying, oh, they didn't want to release Sowore because of shorties. And meanwhile, Malami has never addressed that issue of all those whether shorty or no shorty. But to crown everything up, to sum it up, they are just not satisfied, and they are trying to make it feel as if they are, they know what they are doing. Of course, they don't know what they are doing. If not for the U.S. government, these guys wouldn't have released this man, and they were the one behind DSS. In that, still holding Sowore at that particular time. They were behind the whole thing. They were using DSS. And at the end of the day, this same Malami ordered the DSS to release him. So what are we talking about? Now you are saying that they have the right to hold him, that they have the right to detain Sowore despite court orders. Can you see the arrogance in that statement? They have the power to do that, to continue to hold him, if not because of the U.S. government, international countries that intervened. It's they would have still, the man would have still been there. Then what of Dasuki's case? These people are just something else. They are just something else. I don't know. These are the same leaders that expect the youth to follow their footsteps with this kind of a back and forth. Things that are not even, that are so shameful. These are the legacies they are leaving behind. Of course, we know what is playing us. What is playing out. They just want to try to defend themselves, but it's really a different ballgame entirely. The whole world knows what happened, so they are just trying to cover themselves up. But it's late. But it's luckily for them, they were able to do the needful. If not, they would have known what would have ended the whole thing. You are disobeying court orders. You are infringing on somebody's right, and you are still holding ground that that is not the way to go, that you have the right despite court orders. No, they would have continued. The other time they said, oh, they released Sowore based on a compassion, whatever. I don't know the kind of English they were even speaking. They're just trying to cover up all of those things, but there's nothing they can do again. If they want to arrest him, they are free to do that. If they still want to challenge the court, they are very, very free to do that. But if they think that they are the ones even misleading those that are supporting them. They are the one bringing, all manner of submission, and a lot of people are buying into it, but not everybody. But at the end of the day, what happened? They had to bow to the pressure, because when people have been, when people continue to say that what you are doing is not the right thing, a lot of people, it's not only your countrymen alone and countrywomen alone, other people are saying it outside the country. So you want to tell the whole world that you are more smarter, or you are more intelligent, or you know what you are doing better than other people. It's not going to work. You can only intimidate Nigerians that are in the country, not everybody. Or you can say all those cock and bull stories to those who will believe you, not even all Nigerians in the first place, because a lot of Nigerians stood against them, and a lot of Nigerians were calling, a lot of social groups were calling international communities before these people, they did what they did. They had to release him. They never knew that, Sowore could get that kind of support, from international community, and that was why they had to release him. So let them continue with their deceit and be deceiving themselves. So Nigerians know better. Someone say, Mr. Attorney General of the Federation, you said the service is committed in supporting democracy. What democracy are you talking about? Mr. Malami, I don't really know your name, but I'm very sure that your name is going to be, oh my God, this person is really, really bashing him. Malami, let sleeping dog lie. Why are you so heartless and brainless after breaking the rules of law? In fact, your certificate as a lawyer is questionable and suspicious. Someone say US must hear this. You can imagine. Let the sleeping dogs lie. They are just pained. That is just the reason why they are coming out, issuing statements every now and then. They are just pained. It is not in their, out of their own volition that they released him, but because of they have seen the handwriting on the wall and they had to do the needful. At least they would have just be head bent that they were not going to release him, and they would have seen the other side of how things play out. So guys, I'll let hear your own take concerning what Malami said. Thank you.